trying to say.
There, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the FRL Masters of Assetto Corsa Competizione. Now, this time we are at a very wet Red Bull Ringer, and you might have noticed that the commentator sounds a little bit different. I am joining here as a substitute. My name is Ricky, and I'll be taking you through this 24-minute qualifying session, and then later on also this 1-hour race in wet conditions here. We have two classes on the grid as usual in GT3 machinery, with the first class that we have out there, the AM class, the slower class of the two in this group of a total of 35 drivers. So it's a nicely filled grid there, and as you can see, the conditions are for now quite difficult. They're not easy by any means. And, well, I am also reading along with chat here, so if you guys want to say anything, if you guys want to point anything out, feel free to. It's good seeing you guys here. Some usual names are here on the server, some also a little bit less. So it's going to be interesting to me, right? Some of these drivers obviously have it in them to do really well. I see some names that I know can do well, but I'm also probably going to be surprised by some of the newer names. Obviously, ACC is a sim that has had its player base compacted in the past couple months, especially now with other games trying to take over, like Le Mans Ultimate, for example, or even like iRacing pushing their new GT3 updates, right? So we're seeing a little bit less activity, but it also means that the diehard ACC enjoyers, because trust me, they are still out there, have kind of found each other in leagues like this, and therefore the quality of racing I'm actually expecting to go up a little bit by that standard. These are the people that are actually still putting in time in the sim, and don't get me wrong, it is still an awesome sim, and it's still definitely one of the games that I have thoroughly enjoyed myself in my 200 hours of playtime. Although obviously that is nothing compared to these drivers here. I also see some chat activity here. Kenneth, how are you doing, mate? I saw you were in the server just a second ago. You're obviously in the pit waiting for your go. So, yeah, exciting to have you here. How's it going? And feeling confident for the race? Obviously, for now, there's only a handful of minutes to actually qualify in, as it's two groups at once. So when the first group goes out, the second one comes in, and vice versa. So right now, we're watching the AM class, the slower class of the two, fight the track, and doesn't really matter that much conditions-wise. We actually have a disconnect there. That was kind of weird. But that's not my internet. If the stream starts lagging, please let me know, by the way. The conditions here looking quite awful here. We have the Bentley out there. That's not a car you see every day. We count one here on the grid right now, but he does go fastest, at least temporarily, but immediately gets overtaken. Talking about lap times that are around the 1:34.0 mark here. The fastest drivers now slowly but surely posting some times that are a little bit better here. And the drivers setting in their first, a little bit more safe laps immediately here. Is Jurgen van Linden that goes into the 6th position for now. Everything's fine here. The same for you. Definitely looking forward to. Yeah, me too. It's been a while since I've been on the comms for help. That was a good shout. I've been mainly involved in my my Counter-Strike casting the past couple weeks, months that I've been casting. So it's good to be back here. If Janssens goes 11 fastest here. Team Trucks Racing, multiple drivers representing them. Currently actually right next to each other in terms of times here, although it is another TTR member who's currently fastest overall. It's Harry Alexander from the UK. Spot his Ford Mustang GT3 on pole for the time being. Now, of course, we're going to see some drivers swap over. We're going to see some times come in here. Almost everyone here has set a valid lap. We're waiting for about 6 more drivers at this point. And as you can see that the scoreboard is lifetime is kind of turning red for the time being. And that's obviously got to do with the fact that they are allowed to go first in their run. Now, obviously, if you're also racing in TTR, I also saw Ekering out there. So you have a couple drivers in both splits are racing together. Really cool to see. Obviously, FRL also has their usual drivers in there. They'll mainly be driving in the pro class, so we won't be seeing much of them now. Everyone just slowly but surely trying to find a space here in the server. Time's already ticking away, of course, so you gotta make sure you do it well. Junkwoglu kind of sliding a little bit through the corners, but trying to keep it minimal whenever the opportunity is there. Obviously, it's not going to be easier with how the conditions are looking, and I don't believe they're any better for the race. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they can tackle the conditions well. This weather is looking quite atrocious right now here in Spielberg. We're seeing that the last drivers are currently trying to set their laps in here. There's Messina, for example. Actually, not even on a flying lap just yet. So yeah, we're waiting for some very late qualifiers around here. Currently, it is this man still leading. Harry Alexander finding himself over in the provisional pole position. Obviously, the pro class yet to come out, of course. So yeah, he will swap back. But for now, that's a good position to be in, I think. And it is this man in P2. Alec Griffiths will try and beat them off here. Now, he's actually bound to do 3/10 quicker if he keeps this pace up, and that would actually push him ahead here into provisional pole as he comes into the final corner of the track here. And he did lose a little bit on the exit there. Is a little bit slower, but it might just be enough here as he came out of the Red Bull Mobile corner. He is going to go onto provisional pole, at least in his class for the time being. As Thomas Wong's on a quick lap, he's also going to be about to shave off half a second. That should put him provisional P7, or at least around that area. And indeed it will be. As we see Justin Barnes looking to do the exact same thing here. And then he slides out. And that means not only lap ruined, but a damaged car. He's going to have to teleport back to the pits. That's a shame. That means lap time ruined and very little time to get out there again. And the fact that he is not in the best position right now, it's really not going to feel good, especially if you go down during qualifying, as also Darrell Cole go very, very wide. Some mistakes are being made here in the AM class. Struggling for traction whenever they have the opportunity. You can see there's another car stopped right there. It's a 962. That is the, I believe that is the Porsche, if I'm saying that correctly. No, that's actually the Giuseppe Messina Ford Mustang GT3, as we also see a multi-car crash involving the 219 here. Thomas Wong, yeah, it's actually going to be able to hold up a couple other drivers here that have their lap times done for. So yeah, safe to say it's been a messy start around here. Mike Lewert minding his own business though. Probably about on par with the lap times that he's projected to do. As there's only a little bit above 15 minutes left here to try and get some good lap times in here. Just got to find pace here. It's a little bit slower. Also felt like it was a little bit wider on that exit than I would anticipate him to be. He's made it through. He's now looking to See if he can break his pole time, but currently it doesn't look like it's 2/10 of the delta as we see some slip and slide action. Only number 28, BMW right behind him. So yeah, sketchy moments there. That was for Van Kouwenberg. Van Kouwenberg from Belgium. Lots of Belgian drivers in the series. It used to be always one that has been filled with Italians and Dutchies, mainly feels like. Seeing a little bit of a change there. More Belgians out there. As Michel Bosma will also stop his car around here. It's Jeffrey Jansen's looking to come in. He's bound to get 2/10 off here as long as he can keep it straight. And there he gains a lot of time compared to his previous lap. So far, he's going to shave 3/10 off. That will push him ahead of Verlinden here into a P20 position for now. So it's definitely one that could do some improving as Ian Prentice is going to try and come in and go for one more fast lap. Doesn't look like he's going to be this time though, so the time will stay. It's going to be a 133.070. I don't see the car liveries in the live stream. I have synced the liveries using Awesome Sim Racing. I'll make sure to rerun them between qualifying, between when the pro comes out. So that's going to be now, and everyone's finished the lap. I'm just going to try and resync them. See if I can get them. Let me check on you, because I did get a couple errors. There were a couple ones that it skipped. There we see a big off. The background. Is this what you're expecting? I don't think it is, right? That's just a get speed livery. And for you, that is definitely a custom livery. I think that's Pikachu on there, right? Any other cams that can show it? Oh no, that is cars. Yeah, okay, so yours loaded in properly then. But what I'm gonna do is I'm just quickly gonna put it on the BRB screen, and then I'll try and resync them just in case.
Calling to say I
Now everything appears to be fine. We have seen the last drivers now who need to get into the pits after finishing up their laps now that the time officially passed. We're halfway through the qualifying session, and that also means that we are done with the AM cars, with currently Eric Griffiths standing on provisional pole. Might see an improvement here from Jason Janssens. He's going to be the one to watch. He's currently on a delta that could near the time of Griffiths here, as long as he nails his lines and finishes the lap up. It's currently just about on and off, but he has lost a little bit of time. And now he's P3. He could definitely solidify his position. He doesn't find time elsewhere. He's going to solidify his P3, but it wouldn't be good enough to push even into P2 territory here. Apprentice is not able to improve on his lap times, unfortunately. So this is just what it's going to have to stand on here, as Jason Janssens going to try one more time. That is a decent exit from the Red Bull Mobile corner, but he does get the car sliding a little bit. And in the end, he will improve his time, but by no more than 20 thousandths of a second. So it's not really going to be good enough to improve his lap time to get into the top 3. But I think the positions so far have been good overall, as we're now seeing that the drivers that I have been seeing for a while, and some that I've been following along with for very, very long, like David Hill, for example, being out there again, in his McLaren, the car that he's been using for years upon years. I don't think I've ever seen him in a different car, apart from some endurances that he's done. This is his go-to track weapon here, and obviously the Red Bull Ring is no stranger to him. Now this man I've been watching since the beginning of Amigos Racing League, and that's now, oh, might be even 3 years ago now, honestly. It's incredible. See how far they've come. They're obviously putting in their reference laps now. Because they have about 9 minutes to set their qualifying times. And obviously it's also going to take some time to get out of the pits and complete your first lap. Only then you can start your flying lap, of course. We're seeing some yellows out there. It is the 51 car of Benjamin Eck that's come to a standstill. It's actually still standing there. But Hill's going to go for the fastest on his first attempt. And that is definitely not bad at all here. Yeah, we're standing still between Rauk and the Worth curve, so still is actually, don't know what that's on about. There's more cars driving, although that one's actually spun out. That's one of the Ferraris. Coming in, Nico Veldman now, trying to see where he can go. He's going to go 5th fastest. In the meanwhile, it's been Sir Barry Gibbons that's actually gone for the fastest lap overall. This is Ratio Messina. It's Mustang interesting to see because obviously the Italians have two stunning cars on the grid. Right, you have the Ferrari obviously, and we have the Lamborghini. But Messina's gone for the American horsepowers, the Ford Mustang GT3, and let me tell you, I think it's a stunning car out there. See if it's going to be able to do anything though. Dave Hill's come around now. He's currently 2nd in class and is looking to improve on his lap time by a couple tenths here, and that might just give him an edge here. In fact, that should actually push him over basically everyone, and in fact it is going to be everyone. That's nice to see, kind of race. In the meanwhile, also looking to get his first laps out there that are really going to be pushing hard. This time he's going to shave off 6 tenths. That should put him on provisional pole. And it does. You can see that the class here is actually a little bit less. I think there's a couple less drivers in this class, which should mean that drivers have a little bit more space to get their lap times in. This is Stu Rogers. Currently about to set his first proper qualifying lap, and it's going to be P9 for now. Putting him right behind the ham split drivers from TTR. Not quite satisfied with what Giuseppe Besigia. Narzo moves to P11. So we are seeing those improvements coming in. Obviously Barry Gibbons still out there trying to see what he can do as the 666 car of Ferrier will go off in the background. And so far you can see just how the pace is coming along here. So trying to see he can improve on his lap times there. He's currently about a 10th quicker overall than his last time, which would put him into P3 provisionally if he keeps up the space. But he's hit the curb there a little bit more aggressively and carries a little bit less speed than he did through the Red Bull Mobile corner, and that means he's going to have a very marginal impact here. In fact, he improves his time, but only by 0.02 of a second. So a little bit of a wasted attempt, or a very close attempt, just not up to the standards that he's looking for. And if Racing Mule has come back into the pits here, so we're going to see Nico Veldman not able to improve this time around. Maybe Orazio Messina can. No, he's going to go for a spin and he's going to hit the exact same barrier. Oh my, that's a shame. This is Nakering. Just starting off his laps right now. He's been back into the pits. If I recall correctly. Trying to see what he can do in his Get Speed Mercedes. This Mercedes AMG is, in my opinion, the coolest one out there. Let's see what it is able to do then. Moment starting its first flying lap again. Following along for a couple corners before switching off here. So far those seems all good here. He's made the first corner pretty well. The Niki Lauda curve was no problem. And it's a very long stretch. You want to make sure you maintain your momentum, and that's where he's gained a little bit of time here. This track, which currently shows no sign of slowing down. Although the track is obviously still pouring wet, and that's not going to change anytime soon. This is Stu Rogers, of course. And making his way out there. The 666 has just crossed the line again. Fortunately, no big improvements from Freer just yet. Had to come back into the pits, and now just needs to get out there again. And that is not easy, let me tell you. There's to Rogers. Oh, that's a big slide, but he saves it. Yeah, that is quite the one. And Gennarzo. Now just starting his flying lap. So a lot of drivers have actually come in later on and are now putting one more chance out there. Refill the car to only the minimum that you need, and then just hope that's enough. Here's Benjamin Hack, by the way. Indy Bimmer. Not a car that I expect to see from him. I'm trying to remember what he was in when I last saw him, but that's obviously quite a while ago. He goes P9 overall. That's definitely not bad there. I still wonder why he was at some point not really moving along anymore. I don't really know why that was, to be honest. But maybe there was something that needed to be fixed on the server side, of course. I don't know. Generso then, the 990. Made his way first left-hander here. Second one yet to come. He's currently looking to shave off about 2/10 of the time. Then that would put him between P16 and P18 somewhere. Which is still not what he wants, of course. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, by the way. Good to see here. Yeah, it is very wet out there. Conditions have definitely been less harsh here, although I also know that FRL doesn't mind doing things like this. So yeah, Wet Race, I mean, it's definitely a different skill set that you gotta use from time to time. And so far, I mean, I must say, it's not necessarily treating you badly. I mean, you're quite high up there right now. Currently, obviously, P2 in class, P5 overall. I'd say it's a pretty decent position to be starting in. So we are in the final 1.5 minutes here. It's all looking good on that side. Here's Michael Firth, who's descending left. I'm currently a second of the fastest time in his class. And in fact, overall, it's just been pushed down to P21. With time being limited here, you can see that the drivers are just trying to push as hard as they can to get these final qualifying positions in. Guess me being Scottish gives you an advantage in the rain. Yes, it might actually. I mean, I'm Dutch. I have the exact same thing. Always rains here. Although I must say, I haven't played ACC in a hot minute, but I remember it being a little bit more doable than iRacing, at least. Certain cars, and this is going to be One last chance then for if that was not an improvement, unfortunately. And he's just decided, you know what, that's enough. Shame, really. And here's Barry Gibbons then. Obviously just 20 seconds left to go in the session here. And we've actually seen Barry go off. I wasn't able to catch who it was just there. Now it's actually multiple. So 75 was involved at least. He has now gone back into the pits. That is Kenneth Reyes, the current pole sitter. Time is officially up here in the session. So yeah, it's going to be a couple more minutes here. Everyone obviously on their lap is allowed to finish it. And we're just going to see where they can land this here. Benjamin X going to be able to come in P2. Not all bad here. Messina might be able to get a small improvement on here. But where does that bring him? The answer is P11. So he's going to get a small improvement in here. That's not all too bad. Ferrier is out there trying to see if he can do it one more time. Tom Ferrier seems good through that last corner here. Kenneth Reyes is still the man to beat, and he's actually decided to not finish up the lap here. Interestingly enough, it's going to be the 147, which I can't just find on the scoreboard. There he is, Barry Gibbons. Finish off in P6. No improvements from that point on. Now, there's Davey Hill still out. Everybody's currently on a little bit of a slower lap, so that we're going to see many improvements from him. Versus time is not moving compared to the Delta, so that makes me believe that he's actually no longer on a hot lap himself. Time is basically up already. Well, he's going to actually come out, so maybe that's just my telemetry is bugged out there. Yeah, so Davey Hill's come in. Last finisher here is Urzo. P15 is what it is going to be. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to get ready for the race. We're going to hop into the Be Right Back screen for the time being, and I'll meet you guys when we are ready to go green.
Just calling to say I just calling to say I
is time. We are here and we are ready to go green here around the Red Bull Ring. As you can see, it's a little bit of chaos here. Cars trying to stop and some of them actually not even stopping at all. It is a little bit chaotic around here. We should be good to go. We have the heli cam on and I'm hoping that we can actually see what's going on there at the front here. We are aboard with Amir Kasatarash now, but let's see if we can catch the front group going at it. There's Barry Gibbons, and we should be good to go now as we are going to hit the lights. There it is. We are all on their way. Let's see what this brings for us then. It is 60 minutes at a very, very Red Bull Ring. It has already been contact made. I believe that is the Mercedes of Kenneth Race. The pole started to go wide. That is Nico Veldman standing the other way around. And it is just an absolute traffic jam around there. Oh, more cars have crashed. This is absolute chaos around here. That is... Well, that's one way to shake up the entire field, I suppose. I mean... Yeah, that works. Is that now suddenly Benjamin Eck leading? Yes, it is by the looks of it. Oh my. That is not the way you want to start of a race to go like that. Yeah, it's chaotic, right? It's currently Benjamin Eck leading the way, though. He's obviously also leading the pro class that he's currently in. You see David Hill push back to P2, although he was involved in that incident. I think he got away with it rather well. I think he only had some minor, perhaps even just cosmetic only damage, really. Be a minor loss of downforce, but he got quite well into that. I don't think he was the cause of that, but somebody from behind hit Kenneth Race. There was just simply not enough space. There's more contact towards the back now. Who is involved in that? I cannot see because he's actually refusing to sync up here for a second. Yeah, there goes Justin Barnes around. That is obviously not a great start here. Just here in the beginning of the race. I mean, of course, there's going to be so much more time to recover from all of this. But still, look at how wide the drivers are going. Oh, that's the ML3 Ferrari. I believe that is going to be... Was it Ferrier? Yes, it is Ferrier who's gone very, very much the wrong way around. He's actually going to have to wait so long to rejoin. Goes just about... I was about to say, please go off the apex in time. He managed. Another BMW standing the wrong way. That is the 666 this time around. And also the 28, who finds himself currently under yellows. It was Van Kouwenberg who spun there in the end. I was looking to see who it was. So a chaotic race to begin here. Multiple drivers going side by side. It's hard racing, but you know, we should have some respect for each other here in the server. Now, obviously, nobody's meaning to take each other out because it definitely doesn't help your race. The 29's gone off. That is Nico Veldman, who has come to a halt there. And all more drivers going off in the foreground. Was there contact, or did the Porsche just go onto the throttle a little bit too eagerly? I don't know. Dickman's also spun around now. What is going on this race? And he's looking to rejoin his lines. I mean, sure, it's a wet mess out there. Don't get me wrong. As more drivers now are going off. Jeffrey Janssens being involved in that one. I think it was also for Linden. So I think it was both of the Team Tracks racing cars that actually went off there in sync almost. But at least the field is spreading out a little bit more. So we are going to see that the drivers are finally able to come to a little bit of a pace. We're able to assess the damage of some of these cars. Which for Messina looks quite alright, I must say. Not really able to get a move on as of yet, of course. But this is just to show you how close the racing really is at the moment here. He's going to be able to use that in slipstream, but you can't really go wide as long as the McLaren stays in its place. A slight bit of contact there, but they both make it through alive. Well done staying side by side. That just means there is no physical space to come around then. Generso getting himself involved in that battle. He's currently stuck behind the McLaren, and well, he's going to see that the Mustang's going to go straight ahead, and Generso's just going to try and lift off a little bit here. He wants nothing to do with the chaotic action. He's going to try and stay on their tails. As we make our way through, we're going to go a little bit too wide there in towards the Remus curve, and that means he's kind of lost connection to the drivers in front, but he should be able to make up that time as long as they're battling. But see, this is a track that has quite long straights. That doesn't help in this case here. You see Alberti, oh, he's been forced wide. Yeah, there was a Porsche, which was the Porsche, the number 78, of course, Sebastian, who actually had kind of, you know, I mean, he wasn't stalling it, but he was driving very slow on the straight line. We can see that Kenneth Race is trying all he can to make his way over here back into where he should be. But it is very chaotic out there. It's definitely just going to be one of those races where things aren't going up to plan. That is for sure. This is Jake de Jong here. He has been around for a while in this league. I remember him being one of the faces when I still was very active involved and did mainly the RF2 series, but also was involved in some of the other series that I obviously did for the Racing League, which were mainly the endurance events and standing in for a FRL ACC event, a sprint race once in a while. The first 5 minutes have passed here, the first 3 laps have passed here. We have seen that the field has kind of settled down a little bit here. We're not seeing nearly as many incidents. Sure, driver's still driving very closely. There's battles going on. The roll is just going to be able to go down the inside. The helicam's a little bit missed, and oh, that is contact between the two. And that's Darryl Cole, who's hit the barrier quite hard there. Front on. Has picked up some front end damage there. It's pretty clear. You can see it on the car pretty well. And same goes for the Ferrari right behind him. Obviously, Alberto wasn't involved in this particular incident. But yeah, a lot of these cars look like they have been battle scored already, despite the fact that we're only this early into the race. Triple Mobis was going to try and stick down the inside of the, well, first of all, the Aston Martin that he was battling. Jake de Jong was lost that position, and it's currently Wilson leading this back. No, it's actually Alexander who's found himself ahead of the Mustang there. Apologies me. As the Garage 59 McLaren is currently holding on to that second space, but under pressure from the Indian driver, who's trying to see if he could just maybe chime in there. He's going to stay out of Jake de Jong, so his position is safe over. Nico Veltman slipping and sliding as he makes his way into the pits in the background. It's all goes side by side here on towards the main straight. More drivers are battling. I mean, here is Ibrahim Dickman going side by side with Clearis. Just going to make that stick. That's a clean move out there. Obviously, also a lot of respect given from these two drivers to each other. Currently, Benjamin Eck still leading the race here, but he's currently being chased by Davey Hill. And Davey Hill knows how to hit that throttle pretty hard. So, yeah, we'll see how that goes here. And I think this is a race with a mandatory pit stop later on in this race. There's no pit window, so you're allowed to serve whenever you want. Most of these drivers, I'm expecting to go in around the halfway mark. There's no mandatory tire change here, and there's actually a fixed refuel time here in these 45 and 60 minute races. It's actually, however, completely open in the 75-minute races, so you're able to play with the strategy a little bit more in these. Davey Hill is trying to see if he can go down the straight and maybe catch a couple tenths here onto the current leader. They're actually already approaching some of these back markers here. And this time around it is going to be Justin Barnes who's trying to keep up now. Obviously he's made a mistake earlier on. We saw him spin out around corners 5 and 6, and that's cost him a little bit of time. That happens. Race is still going on very much though. It is Lee Roll who finds himself currently off the back here of the Porsche of Chukwoglu. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. To try and do well. And currently fighting in midfield for some important points battles here. Currently the AM class is being led by the Bentley, by the boat itself. It's obviously one of the few right-hand drive cars. Interestingly enough. See, with that I mean where the driver's sitting. Car made for the left hand of the road market here, and he's currently leading quite comfortably over Griffiths, who's trying to keep up that pace. So we have seen the number 15 go off. Jake de Jong was taking his time to rejoin there. I think it's just spun out on his own. I don't think there's much damage on that car. Well, certainly doesn't look like it, at least not on the front or the back, or on the left side. I doubt he's been hit from the right side. That sounds like a pretty weird incident then. Though somebody could have No, said maybe I'll dive in there, but no, I think it's just been a little bit of a moment of himself at braking. We're seeing some of these McLarens coming in, serving their mandatory pit stop early. So we are going to see some shakeups here in the race. It also means that it's kind of difficult to assess who is currently leading the race and who's currently behind, but only due to the pit stop. Now, of course, not everyone's gone for those moments, right? Obviously, not everyone is taking those risks. Here we have seen the first drivers come in for their laps. We have seen the first 4 pit stops already. So this Nico Veldman and Kenneth Race, the drivers that have kind of been involved in these accidents early on, want to have that clean air to be able to catch up as much as they can. Justin Barnes was currently serving a pit stop, most likely also repairing his damage. And it is going to be C. Sebastian, the number 78, also doing it. Now this is interesting because this is Tom Ferrier, who's trying to make his way around some of these AM class drivers. Now that's not really gaining him any positions in his class, but he needs to get by them, right? You're racing 2 races at once here. He's trying to see if he can do that. Tom Freer, currently in P18 overall. There's 8 drivers ahead of him in the other class, 10 in the zone class then. So here's Jan Urso, who's closed down the gap to Messina. As the horses fighting off against each other here. It's a little bit sketchy. The line speed car, a little bit of a moment there. The Mustang able to drive away a little bit more. That is what it will settle on for now. I don't think we're going to see much more action between them then. And in other news, Biswas just lost out a position here to the Ford Mustang of Harry Alexander, who's made his way through nicely. Obviously does have that straight line speed. Although I must say, I am a big fan of the Lamborghini here in this game. I think it is just one of the most stunning and also best sounding cars that this game has got to offer. Obviously it's very quick on the straights, as you would expect with all those horsepowers inside. And we are about a quarter through the race right now. David Hill lost a little bit of time, and was that a car? It was very hard to spot. Yeah, it was one of the cars facing the wrong way. That's the 247. It's going to be Barnes, who's had a nightmare of a race so far. As Craig Leeworth's actually going to be finding himself into the sand, losing some positions here. As a result, it's going to be Jason Janssens who goes through nicely, keeping things clean. There's a lot of Belgians in there, and there might be some Belgians watching the stream. And if you are watching the stream, tomorrow I'll make my way over to Belgium for the 24 hours of Zolder. So if you're finding yourself around, feel free to come say hi. I always love to. That is the Garage 59 car that's gone off in the background. Is that Wilson? Yes, it is. Stanley Wilson finds himself spinning and kissing that barrier. Losing some positions in due process. He's lost 4. I think, yeah, he's definitely got damage in the front end there. I don't think it's race-ending damage, but it's still a shame. Love to see that any other way. Now let's have a look at this big group here. Currently being led by Janssens here, who's finding himself in P5. Then we have Griffiths, Kasatarashi driver, currently aboard with Gibbons, Rogers, Sinan Ursel, all looking to come around there. Griffiths actually just about lost that position here. There's big contact. That is the Mustang now going off track, and he needs to rejoin at a slower pace. And just look at how many positions he loses instantly in that battle. That's just like 5-6 positions lost. There's that one slight bit of contact there, one slow exit. And obviously that is where the fact that this track's got so many straights is just really not helping you. It's hard to pick up the pace. in a straight line. But look at how tight this is going to be here. It's going to be all those drivers involved at once. Ooh, there's contact there between the McLaren. It's a late lunge, very late lunge, and that is not going to stick. There's contact between, I believe that is Gibbons at least involved, as well as the other McLaren, of course. Janssen makes it out nicely. It's Gibbons and Rogers would go off the hardest here. They lose a lot of time, and now they're being overtaken by even the likes of Biswas pretty soon. The drivers who definitely had a little bit of a gap later on. It's 147 now also driving slowly. And that was Gibbons still, so the warning was just out a little bit longer for him than it was for the driver that he had contact with just a second ago. You see George there is trying to see if he can open up a gap here. Dickman is trying to defend that inside line. Now it's going to be about nailing your exits, and that's where it gets tricky. The throttle control is really something you need to nail here. Does that stick? I'm not so sure. At the moment, it's not looking like it though. So he's gonna actually fall off a little bit longer now. I think David Hill still chasing Benjamin Eck here for P1 and P2 respectively. Yeah, Swedish BMW M4 driver doing a massive job right now and keeping things clean in the way that he is supposed to. Now, obviously, this competition does have some prizes on the line. We have a €25 Steam gift card for the Pro winner. The AM winner is going to get a nice little coupon for Coach Dave Delta to get some nice little setups out there. Obviously, with using the LFM balance, you know that things are fair. Gibbons here is seeing that Alexander's going to try and go around it. Oh, there's contact between the two. Gibbons goes wide as a result, and it's actually going to cost him one position, and that is going to be also the car of Ferrier now being in the way. It's going to cost him, as more and more drivers are also joining in that pitch. Rogers, Verve, Jake DeShong, and these are drivers that have had picked up damage of some sort, as we see in the background the 76 of Bosma sliding out. And that is going to be a little bit of a moment there for him. He's actually kept the car damage free, so in that sense it's not the end of the world. The only thing that might actually be damaged is his ego at that point. Here we see a dive. Nico Veldman doing things cleanly. Obviously, Jeffrey Janssens has no reason to defend that, right? They're not fighting in the same race. They're different class drivers. It's AM versus Pro. Happy to let him go. Maybe utilize the slipstream to stay with him. The 924 is now gone off. Or is that the 524? Yes, it's the 524. That is Jaden Ekering. A little bit in the moment in his Get Speed Mercedes. Reached again in under 8, of course, but this race taxi's had a little bit of a moment there. This is Generoso. Going to do his work. All that he can do. Fertile doing well. This is Tom Ferrier catching up to Wong, and that is quite the pace difference there on the straight. That looked like he had a massive benefit for Listerman. Oh, then they make contact and they sent each other flying. Ferrier gets off that a little bit better than the McLaren of I believe that was Wong. Yeah, that was Wong. But oh my, and this is just showing, right? This is not the kind of, and I don't know if it's the weather or not, but I'm used to quite a high standard of driving here in the FRL. It's something that I've always really taken for granted, I believe, but you know, I've mentioned it multiple times. The racing here is usually very good, but this wet race here at the Red Bull Ring has proven tricky for many of these other drivers, and I can't tell if it is a genuine struggle to stay on the track and be fast, or if it's also just a little bit of impatience there, because that's what that move made me think of. Just seemed a little bit too impatient, and it was a little bit of a moment of, you know, wrong place, wrong time maybe. As Ian Prentice still leading the way here in the Red Bull Ring. He is currently third fastest overall. 40 minutes to go is looking good to maintain a solid spot around here in the overall race. Now for the people a little bit newer to GT3 racing, or just well, racing in general, I think it's fair to say. We are driving 2 races at once here. 2 races are happening that share certain things, but essentially they share everything apart from the time they go out to qualify, and it's always in 2 groups, and also the leaderboards that they're fighting for. So we have the cars that are marked in white on the left of your screen. Currently that is Benjamin Eck being the quickest. He is a pro driver, which means that he is a faster driver. Now IRL, this is, you know, usually a team consisting of full professional drivers, and in this case we have the cars marked in red. They're driving a different race on the same server at once. They are driving for their overall position in their own category, the AAM category, usually the slower drivers, the amateurs. Obviously you still gotta find your way around. It's not like the drivers are just gonna disappear. More drivers entering that pit as of now, are actually exiting that pit. That is Bosmo's just made his way out. Barnes has also come in again. That is his second pit stop. The only driver to serve a second pit stop so far. Makes me think that he's picked up damage at some point there. Because see, he's already had that opportunity to refuel, and I think he's actually refueled already either way. Gibbons joining in the pits here. Then Dickman making his way around. Moving up to P14. But with, well, let's say about 10 drivers having served their pit stop, as the 157 has come to a halt there on the straight, no less. I think he might have just sent it too hard over on the last sector. And that's caused him to spun out on the straight. As approach a corner like this, and then on exit at the oversteer come in. Of course, go into the wall where we saw a couple drivers go in earlier. This is a battle here between Jan Urzo and a driver from a different class. So this is where I get interested, right? So Urzo's currently driving in the professional class, but he is behind Griffiths, who's currently in P2 in the amateur class. And the thing is, you don't want to be getting into each other's ways, but you also don't want to be losing too much time when you go for these overtakes. And Griffiths has done a responsible thing here. He has let Urzo by, knowing that he could use him to slipstream away perhaps from the driver behind him, which is Amir Kasatarash. And that just shows that there's a tactical element to this. And the Iranian driver, only P7, quite a solid job so far. Kouwenberg, Jarno van Kouwenberg has just lost his position to Nico Veldman. So trying to make a little bit of a comeback race here. Over in Austria here on this very beautiful racetrack. One that I'm yet to visit myself. And I've been to a lot of beautiful tracks, but this one's still definitely on there. So far not making up the spots, and this is also where we see Anil Kunchugoglu go in towards the pits, and he's going to go and serve his mandatory pit stop. And this is really spreading out the field a little bit here, where everyone's essentially running hot laps in with few exceptions, like Dickman here, who's still trying to go around the outside of Wong here. Wong's actually gone wide into the corner, and that's going to be costing him. Eventually that's how you go down. Princess just let a lot of drivers by, including Griffiths and Janssens. Makes me think that he's made a mistake somewhere. We weren't able to catch it on the stream, fortunately. Really though, that was supposed to be it. I'll take it for what it's worth. Griffiths here. Still leading his class overall. Not still leading his class. He was P2 for a long while. But now obviously he's facing some different drivers behind him. Taraj trying to chase him down. Panthers now coming in to serve his mandatory pit stop here. Jake DeShong trying to drive away the Lamborghini behind him right now. Obviously driving very different races here, right? Obviously Biswas is about to go a lap ahead here. Having 15 and 16 laps respectively so far. This is Messina. Still chasing down the BMW here van Kouwenberg. We are now gonna get some moves on. The BMW should really gone out of the way there. More drivers coming in now that we are at the halfway point. Ferreira's come in, Wong's come in. Now we are not really dealing with each other, interestingly enough. Let's see what else is happening out there. Veltman trying to chase two of these AM drivers down now. Veltman doing well so far, trying to see if he can get some more in there. Cena's gone out of the way first, and Veltman's just made his way by, sliding through the corner even. You know, I admire the dedication there to go through. It really works out well. Mr. Rush still chasing Griffiths here. Going to be there's one out there. Alberti just come out of the pits here, but where will he end up? Behind Veltman. That's actually nice for him there. What else is there to see? Nico Veltman here. Let's see if we can actually go aboard with him a little bit here as he's slicing his way through the field. Seems to be making up some good times here. Here is Michael Firth trying to go side by side here. Wong's actually picked up a 30-second stop and go. That is quite a harsh penalty to be getting.
We are at the halfway mark, still a long way to go.
We are halfway through this race at this point here, so that's really coming along here. But Michael Firth's handling it. Jeffrey Janssens has come off. He's got to cross nicely to get into the pits then. Harry Alexander now has lost a spot to Dick Meneers, trying to see if he can gain that back perhaps. Alexander is going to come in too, so he's actually going to get rid of that fight for now. He's decided maybe it's no longer worth it. So, yeah, might be trying it again a little bit later on, but for now, sees no reason to entertain fools, and sometimes, you know, you got to pick your fights. Doing exactly that right now. It's smart, honestly. See, the traffic is something that you got to keep in mind. It's for Kouwenberg. Running it out with Ferrier here. They are actually currently driving in the same class. So you can see just how close that's going to get here. But I think the exit from Kouwenberg wasn't great. Able to keep him behind you just about. But that's tight though. Yeah, okay, he's going to bail. Oh, and there it is. He's missed the corner completely. Oh, Van Kouwenberg braked too late. Was focused on his mirrors. Forgot to brake in time. Scoots straight across into the pit line. Has that opportunity. Ferrier's going to go through. Immediately is put into a fight with Cole here. Now Cole shouldn't be defending hard though, because just keep in mind that they are driving different classes here. But Cole's actually just gonna send it back down the inside and he's gonna go off. So that doesn't really work out. We see the Mustang going off in the background. Just adding to how crazy this race has been. Multiple drivers at the front are coming in, including driver in second place, Davy Hill. Well, Benjamin Eck has stayed out for the time being, so decided it might not be worth it just yet. A little slip and slidey here, but he's been stable along. I mean, lap times are good. Although currently, when it comes to absolute fastest lap time, it is Davy Hill who has that to his name. Flying Scotsman is just back out on track now. Is gonna have his pit stop served, and despite serving it now, obviously the majority of the field has at this point served him. Hasn't lost any positions, but yeah, it's going to be difficult when Benjamin Eck comes out, because he could now decide to follow along if he wants to, and that's exactly what he's going to do, making sure he gets no advantage. And he was just waiting for Davy to pit so that he can join in right afterwards. There is no pit window here. You're not legally required to come in by a certain time, apart from, well, before the race finishes, but it is interesting. It's definitely trying to get into your opponent's header. The 247's gone off. This Barnes here was once again had a little bit of slip and slide here in the wet conditions, showing how incredibly difficult it is to stay out there right now. It's not like his times are terrible, but he seems to sometimes struggle in certain corners. Right, he makes it by. We see the 666 who's gone off. That's Ferrier, who's had a mixed race. Definitely had his moments there of brilliance, but also had some incidents. And that is obviously the downside of it, right? You can have such great highlights, but lowlights are really going to bring you down in that case. Roll. Currently finding himself P28 here overall. Well in this class, but still towards the bottom 5. We've only seen one DNF so far, so that's quite impressive. I believe that might be Kenneth Race. No, he's still driving. I haven't seen his name in a while, but he just hasn't been able to catch up, unfortunately. Had himself on 18 laps, while the current fastest drivers are on 21. Damage is being hard. We see that Mario Bremses come in, serve his first pit stop, which means that there's currently only one driver that has not completed his pit stop. And that's a driver who's been 15 positions up from his starting position, Ibrahim Dickman. Now, don't get me wrong, he's driving a fantastic race right now, but when he comes into the pits, he will be losing a couple positions back. And that's completely logical, of course. But it gives him a little bit of a false sense of security in that sense. But, you know, the Turkish driver, he's having a fantastic stint right now. And we'll only really see where he ends up as soon as it's over, right? Obviously, pitting here on this track takes about a minute. And that would actually put him back in the midfield almost, weird as that is. Now, it does come at the upside that he is currently in clean air. So he's able to at least get those good lap times in. It's wild there. With the mixed, the fixed tire change, or well, a refuel time, apologies me, it is obviously not really a race where you can play too much with the strategy here. Everyone's going to refill. However, you do have the opportunity to also see if you want to take tires. That is really the only thing you can do with this. Now, the conditions are pretty wet. Most drivers are handling about the same time as Dickman has now come into the pits. You see multiple drivers go by him. This is Jaden Ekering, who's fighting Messina right behind him. Scary sight to see that big Mustang appear in your rear view mirrors, of course. So number 13 has had a little bit of a spin. That is going to be Craig Lewer. Cigar going again, but he's lost his place and he's lost his speed that he had. Does lose a couple positions as a result here. Now this is Chabon Biswas trying to see if he can maybe cut in there. Nico Veltman back into the P10 at least, so he's still bound to score some good points, especially if you consider that there's 3 amateurs in there. As Ekering has just regained his position over Messina. Lost it just a second, but now they're going side by side, and this is where it gets exciting. That ABS is working hard right now. Keep the cars in place. Messina's going to try and dive down the inside immediately afterwards. This is hard and respectful racing the way you want to be saying it. And that is going to be quite tight there on the exit for the Dutchman. And that might just give the Mustang a run here coming into the final 2 corners. Looks like Jaden Ekering's done enough here. But is Messina brave enough to go down the inside somewhere? At the moment, it certainly doesn't like it. But the straights are long and the slipstream is strong. Jaden Ekering is going to see the Italian coming here. Decides to not defend the inside line, knowing that the Italian is going to have to slow down a little bit more. However, he goes very, very wide. Messina, you know, he keeps it very nicely between the lines here. And he is still chasing. He is seeing all that weather, all that rain just being completely sprayed at his window there. Needs to get the car slowed in time. Is able to do so. They go side by side again. But this battle is not done yet here, as the Mercedes is looking to stay alongside, despite the Mustang now having a little bit of a better edge. And you can see that there's a slight lifter by Ekering. He's going to try and dive in there. Maybe looking to go down the inside here will be a risky, ballsy move. But he is trying to get into the head of Messina here. Obviously, this is probably the best chance of a good one-on-one battle we have yet to see here. And we do see that the Italian is currently holding on strong. He's driving the lines he's supposed to be driving. And at that point, there is not much that Ekering can do. He is on the edge. He's on the curbs. Those are still pretty slippery, so he should be careful. He seems to be making a little bit of ground up here. Looks like Ekering has kind of lost that connection here. And that means that Messina should be fine securing a P8 and therefore a P5 in this class. The race is still long. Dasarash has just lost the position here to Urzo. Moves up to P3 for the time being. Doing well. Griffiths obviously is the leader in the top class here, and he's made his way by the Iranian Ferrari driver here. And Eric Griffiths driving a great race right now. He is doing exactly what is expected of him. He's consistent and he is rapid here. Ian Prentice, who was leading a little bit earlier on, found himself a little bit behind here. Now he is still in a good position, but he is also got to be careful because there is a Ford Mustang a couple seconds behind him. His focus, of course, is to try and get out of that portion away. That's the car on a different lap. Same goes for the McLaren that you're about to see now. And there you saw in the background just how big that gap was. Currently about a 5-second mark. Now, Michael First has found the connection here to Gibbons, as obviously we're entering the final 20 minutes of the race, and everyone has served their mandatory pit stop, as Benjamin Eck and Dickman were the last one to come out there. Dickman's currently back in his P15, still having a solid race, still has gained some good positions compared to where he started in P18, but nowhere near the front, which kind of is what you get in terms of evolution, right, when you are yet to serve a pit stop. But keep in mind that despite this track being quite short and fast, it is actually a pit lane that really is quite tough. Not necessarily on the entry speeds or anything, but it's just a long time where all the drivers can get ahead of you. You lose relatively a lot of time you're comparing to taking a pit stop at, let's say, Nürburgring Nordschleife or Spa. Although the Spa pit lane is obviously incredibly long, actually. So, but comparatively to the lap times, it costs you about 3/4 of a lap just pitting alone. Rogers has made his way by Stanley Wilson. We were just about to witness it on the stream. And meanwhile, we've seen Messina get ahead of Ekering yet again. Makes me think they're fighting yet again, as I did see the positions swap around here on my info, my data sheet. It is incredible to be seeing here how well this has gone. Let's see who's still fighting. Messina still is stuck behind Van Kouwenberg. Obviously, this is Giuseppe Messina. There's also Orazio Messina. Don't know if they're brothers or related in any way, but could definitely be. A drive-through picked up by Davy Hill. Oh no, that is quite something right there. Mustang just letting the faster drivers by right there. No reason to be fighting each other. Well, Hill's going to be pissed off though, because that is going to cost him, for example, the position over Urso, but also some of the AM drivers that he's going to have to overtake again. Ekering's once again putting it side by side here, coming into this very tight right-hander. Very little space to do it on, but he should be getting a good exit out of this corner. And now it is a matter of seeing if the Mustang can hold on here on the straight. As long as there's overlap, Mercedes is entitled to the space there. I don't think there's overlap as they start braking, but it's very marginal. It is respectful racing, and there goes that exact move. It doesn't work out for Jaden Ekering, though. It's a good evasive move here by Orazio Messina, who's able to therefore take a little bit of a lead, but maybe just a second or two before the Dutchman comes back, because he is rapid right now. It's come at the cost of making some smaller mistakes now. In the meanwhile, there are 33 drivers left, so I've seen some more disconnects here. Man, that drive-through is tough here. Rush currently safe. Seeing that Mercedes coming awfully close though. Obviously, Having very different races. Your Kenneth Race is behind by a big margin, but he is quicker. So Castros is still going to decide to let him go. Keep in mind that is your top row. I think it was he on pole? I believe he was on pole. And he was. Your current pole sitter is finding himself at the back here. It's tough. It's really tough out there. Those kind of scores here. Justin Barnes currently his own business, getting out of the way for the faster drivers. Also making sure that he's doing the right thing in that regard. Making sure there's no contact or anything like that. Now next week we'll be headed over to Imola for a 45-minute sprint race. Exciting stuff ahead there. In my opinion, quite an awesome racetrack. And afterwards, we've got Bathurst and Paul Ricard coming up. Two Rogers here. Very close to Harry Alexander, driver of Team Tracks Racing, of course. Side by side, different classes, you don't want to be getting yourself involved. And yeah, the Mustang's just gonna leave over the space. That is all good to me. I think that is a very rational decision of him. So all is good now. A little bit over 10 minutes to go. Dust is finally settled in, and David Hill's currently serving his drive-through penalty. Kazatarash not really able to close that gap down here. Maybe Michael Firth will be able to get closer to Barry Gibbons here. He's currently finding himself in P12. Gibbons had a tough race, started P6 of course. Firth's gone a little bit further up. He's actually done really, really well. Seeing what he can do here. So far all seems okay though. Now, what else are we going to be seeing? Jake DeShong is trying to close that gap down to Dickman here. And he is doing so rather well. Where that will be bringing him though, but I guess we'll find it out later on. Jake DeShong might be able to make something work here. A bit later on, that is. Michael Firth. Just trying to see if he can get closer up. It's not really looking like it. He kind of dust has settled for the majority of this. Davey Hill still finding himself in P2 after having cleared his drive-through penalty. Dickman now trying to go side by side here. Jake de Jong wants this, and he's currently on the inside line. That should favor him here. Indeed, will be able to keep things clear. SimGrid and Dickman is trying to see if he can maybe get back ahead. They are driving for position here, both AM drivers. Here, a little bit of a mistake by Jake de Jong. So far seems like Jake de Jong hasn't been able to catch him just yet. He's trying to see if he can get closer up here. Here we see some more moves around here, and Chunko has lost the position here. Actually won the position on Brems. It's still Wilson though who's ahead at the moment. Okay, now that gap's actually increased significantly by last time I checked here. So no, they're not going to be in any trouble. They're quite far away. Alexander's now lost the position. Getting himself involved with Danny Wilson this time around, as Joe Rogers is trying to defend here on the inside line from Jake de Jong. Still was trying to see if he can go around the outside. Maybe that should mean that if he's able to stay side by side, he gets the advantage in the next corner, and that's quite a brave dive down there. And the McLaren driver is nice enough to leave him a little bit of space there. It seems to be for now to no avail though. Rogers here still has that gap over, but see other drivers that are on different laps are get in their way. That is a little bit tough out there. See what he can do though. Rogers goes ahead here of Dickman. Jake de Jong still trying to get himself involved. If these guys go side by side, that might be an opportunity for the last one to get away with it. Ooh, very narrow. Very little space. Just about avoiding contact here. Now we do see that's all coming off rather well here. That is sketchy. Akering's got himself a drive-through this late in the race. But this is going to get a little bit chaotic. Now Jake de Jong trying to see if he can maybe catch up to them all. There Jake de Jong goes very, very wide. Ooh, that is a slip up there from Dickman. That's going to cost him a lot of time, but I think Jake de Jong lifted a little bit there to avoid him. movement now ahead of Jake de Jong for the time being here. Obviously, they're very close to each other. Currently, just to remind you again, with a little bit less than 5 minutes to go, it's Benjamin Eck leading the pro class here, and it is still Henry Griffiths was finding himself in P2. Is there anything else to do? Raikkonen's come into service pit stop. It's going to cost him 4 positions here by the end of it. Shame, really, really tough out there for him that late into the race, but obviously it's what you cost yourself, so what else you can do about it for now. Look to see if there's anything else. Perf's trying to come out there. Maybe he'll have the opportunity a little bit later on. I'm not seeing many other changes. In fact, nobody's really close to each other. Griff is still minding his own business in P1 in his class. Most other drivers are just very long gone. There's so many gaps around here. I think all is set up for now. I think there's much else that they can do. Jaden Akering trying to do his thing. 13th right now. That big penalty that he got at the end there, that is going to be really throwing things off for him. Frankly, we're just trying to see what he can do. The rest of it. Is there anything else? Well, at the moment I'm not really seeing it, but the gaps have just really narrowed down. Obviously time is now ticking away. Depending on where the current leader is driving, well, he's about to come up to the finish line. We could soon be entering our final lap here of the 60 minutes of the Red Bull Ring.
Leaders on final lap now.
I think now, seeing that the last opportunities have been taken, all the drivers here just looking to finish up the race in a good way. We'll see if they eventually manage to, but for now though, this is all looking okay. 10 seconds left to go here. Stu Rogers might be able to give it a try here, although it's not going to be easy, of course. And we are now out of time in this race officially. Actually, Jake de Jong lost the position right there. He's driving a little bit slowly. Please don't tell me he's run out of fuel. Or is that damage? I don't know. If so, it's going to cost him a lot of time. As we do here see Benjamin Eck in a very, very dominant fashion. He's going to cross the line with no time left. And when he does so, you guys all know how he goes. He's going to be finishing P1 there. That is an incredible drive right there. What has happened to Jake de Jong then? He keeps losing positions. Has he just run out of fuel? He might have actually... Yeah, he's come to a halt. I think he might have under-fueled there towards the end. Davy Hill looking good for P2 was never close. Are you willing to risk this last lap? I wouldn't do so, but okay, they keep it clean. Doesn't matter. Davy Hill's going to take the P2 position here, and in a very stable drive, he's able to get himself into the top step of the podium. Jenna Rousseau with a good race. Made his way up from P16 on the grid to P3 overall. It is beyond impressive what he's shown today. And Eric Griffiths with a dominant drive, capitalizing on the mistakes of the Bentley. He's going to take P1 in the amateur class. Tarash is going to come P4 in the end, as Ian Prentice is going to join the podium in second place in AM. With Jason Janssens coming right behind him. Messina finishes P8. And after a massive comeback drive, it is going to be Nico Veldman here in his Audi R8, finishing off the job in P9. It is definitely a good result considering what he went through. He's going to be gladly taking that, I think. And Shipon Biswas is going to take a nice little P4 in class for some very good points for the 404 here. Harry Gibbons right behind that. And the majority of the drivers after that, I mean, have already finished the lap down. Of course, it's going to be Akering in P12. Shame of that penalty in the end there. Overall, still a decent drive. It's going to be Michael Firth right behind him, and that means that should be the last finisher. No, actually, Kenneth Race is still out there. He's going to be finishing P13 in a tough race for him, involved in many incidents. But that is just how it goes. At least drive over the line, mate. Okay, she's going to teleport back in, but it's all good. It means that everyone has finished now. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed that as much as I have. Winner Benjamin Eck has had a massive, massive drive. And next week we'll be back here at Imola with your usual commentators behind the mic. I hope you guys have enjoyed this stream as much as I have. It's been an absolute honor to be back against the mic. I hope you guys have enjoyed it as much as I have. And I'll be back on this channel eventually. Don't know when, but I'm sure that it'll be fun. If you are at Circuit Zolder this weekend, feel free to come say hi. And as for now, I've only got one thing to say, and that is have a wonderful evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you guys have enjoyed this race, whether you're driving or watching. And until next time.